and welcome to the Tavern Chat Podcast. I am your host, Eric Tankar, your bartender and your OSR, the main proprietor at the Tankar's Tavern blog. This is episode 54. So, what are we going to talk about this morning? I'm a little bit later than usual, but you can blame that on the single drink I went down to have at my pub with my old bartender. Me and Rach went down. I'm not going to tell you how many a single drink became, but it was 4 hours. Needless to say, we had a good time. So I got up a little bit late today. I'm trailing behind. Forgive me. A few things before I delve into the main topic of today's podcast. If you're thinking about going to ShireCon in September, it's in Connecticut. It has now sold 30 of the 80 slots to attend. Attending is $10. It's pretty damn cheap. I'll leave a link on the blog post that accompanies this. That's just a little reminder. I'll be there. I'll be running in the morning from 9 to 12, I think. I'll be running Swords of Wizardry Light beneath the Battered Dwarf Tavern. I've ran this at North Texas in 2017, and it was well received. I had a lot of fun. You can grab bits and pieces of it if you want to. If you search the tavern, if you search on the blog side, I was posting this up in pieces as it came up. We are now also available on Spotify. So if you want to listen to this podcast and you have Spotify, you can listen on Spotify. Solid. Also, if you have Spotify hooked up to your Amazon Echo, you can do that too. One other thing I want to touch on. So, there are things that are changing, adjusting in the world of Tankar's Tavern. There's many aspects to it. I posted a blog post about this yesterday. Pretty much, the blog isn't changing. The Discord server is expanding. And what I mean is expanding is that we're absorbing in for our God Games and their Discord server. It's going to be a gradual process. So there will be an influx into the community, and that's win-win if you ask me. And there's going to be a change in how I'm running the Patreon. I'm going to figure that out this week because the Discord server is constantly up on my second monitor. If I'm at my desk, I'm looking at it. If I'm away from my desk, it's on my phone. So it takes time. These podcasts take time. The blog takes time. The Facebook community is hopping, but that has to be moderated. So, we're going to adjust how the Patreon works and reflects the work that I'm doing with the tavern in various aspects. So there we have that. Now, onward and upwards to OSRIC. OSRIC is, in my opinion, the first, I don't want to say real, or it is the point where you look at the OSR and it's the point where you go, this is where the OSR became, where, Hackmaster, quote, 4th edition, was AD&D 1E and 2E licensed to Kensico because Wizards of the Coast reissued the first 250 issues of the Dragon digitally on a CD 5-disc pack. And I guess their lawyers didn't bother to look that they didn't have rights to reissue Knights of the Dinner Table strip. So to settle all this stuff out of court, Kenzer got the rights to 1E and 2E as long as they used it humorously. So that's kind of the start, but not really. I think it's just a hint of things to come. Then you have Castles and Crusades. And in a lot of ways, Castles and Crusades can be seen, like I have said before, as a seed that brings forth the OSR. Certainly shows you that old school gaming is still a viable type of gaming in the 3X or 3E market. But I think it was OSRIC that really solidified it. And there's reasons for it that are, different than other rule sets. Other rule sets were written to be played. Initially, OSRIC was not written to be played. OSRIC was written instead as the old school reference and index compilation, therefore OSRIC. And it was written to be a resource for publishers. So if you want to write an old school adventure using the open game license, you can't say for use with AD&D 1A, because you can't do that and use the OGL. Now you could say for use with 1A, you can't reference Dungeons and Dragons, you can't reference AD&D or D&D. But if you put out a rule set that is understood by the community to be 1A, to be Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, then you can say for use with OSRIC. And then it's actually brilliant. So it was written not to be played, but to be referred to. It was released in PDF for free. Another thing I think is important to the growth in the OSR is that many of these initial rule sets were released for free in PDF. And as such, they allowed anybody who had an interest in it to grab a copy. And that is simply amazing. That is really what becomes the OSR, is that it was readily accessible. The funny thing is, with OSRIC, and they didn't plan on this, people started running games with the rules. They were put together, made to be easy to reference. But as such, being easy to reference, people found it was easy to run games with it, but wasn't initially put together for that purpose. So OSRIC 2.0 was released in 2008. OSRIC first edition, initial OSRIC rules, was 2006. Now, if you look at Wikipedia, they say that more than 20 different publishers have produced more than 500 products branded as OSRIC compatible. I would consider that a huge success. And there's probably an out-of-date number. Oh, maybe not two. It says, all right, 2018, June 3rd. Well, it might not be out of date, but I got a feeling there's some that I missed. I can't believe we're talking 20-something publishers. I'm suspecting there's more, but I'm going to guess up. Yep. It was grabbed from RPG Now. It doesn't include people who publish on Lulu. People who have probably published stuff that's just available at conventions. So, but that's the point to OSRIC. Now, OSRIC has to go in when they're writing the classes. If you look at OSRIC, you can see that the experience point tables do not follow exactly the numbering or the progression in the 1E Player's Handbook, and the reason for that is it's a table with, I guess, progressive growth. These are things that could be protected under copyright They aren't really released in the OGL. So the purpose for those changes is to, I guess, keep OSRIC from being challenged. Now, they did think that initially OSRIC was going to be challenged, and it never was. Wizards of the Coast pretty much turned a blind eye to OSRIC. They didn't want to know. But if they did challenge it, it was being published by Stuart Marshall, and Stuart's in the UK, and different rules apply, and Wizards of the Coast would have to have, I guess, gone to a British court. It would have been awkward. But once OSRIC was accepted by the community, and theoretically it's accepted by Wizards of the Coast, allowing it to exist, OSRIC opens the door to the later retro clones. It opens the door for Labyrinth Lord to follow, Swords and Wizardry, and others, and derivatives of those games. So OSRIC holds a very important spot in the OSR. Like I said, OSRIC 2E was a rewrite of OSRIC to be played, to be used as a reference at the table, and I have used it as a reference at the table. My return to GMing, which I used Roll20. My two systems that I went to initially. First was OSRIC, because it was AD&D 1E, and AD&D 1E was where my comfort zone was. And then I moved on to Axe, because Axe is also a nicely tight-written game system that builds off of BX, Basic Expert, with a nice amount of tweaks that makes it unique, but still is compatible with all those old adventures. And that's the beauty of the OSR in general. It's the compatibility. Just like the basic D&D and advanced D&D adventures were pretty much interchangeable. You can interchange your resources, your adventures between all these different systems. It's easy. It's a home run. So that's a little bit on OSRIC. I'm sure I'll have more at some point in the future, but that's the basics there. It's still free in PDF. It's available on Lulu. You can also get it in hardcover. There is an A5 version, which I guess would be, for us Americans, pretty much a trade paperback size. It's a perfect size, if you ask me. And my eyes can still read that. I got that old man vision going, but that's still within my vision range. All right, folks. This is where we're going to call today's episode. Thank you for stopping by. If you are listening on iTunes and you get a chance, please give us a rating, give us a review. It's important. We are rated now. We have enough ratings that it actually shows when you do a search for Tavern Chat in iTunes. I appreciate it all. Be good. Be safe. God bless. And I will talk with you tomorrow. Thank you, folks.